Scott at Motopia. We're an authorized Royal Enfield dealer, and we have a customer named Steve Maes who bought an INT 650 from us, and he's turning it into a scrambler for some insane reason, because that's who he is. He wants to go ride this motorcycle in places it was never designed to go, so we're going to help him do it.
Why you look so bummed, Steve?
Okay, so as usual, nothing ever goes like simple like we had planned, right? So tried to mount these in the exhaust, and the flange here, as it came, was too wide. It was hitting the block of on the motor right here. So had to go in and grind these down a little bit. Also had to route out the holes here for the bolts on the exhaust. They were just too small and it was too tight to get it in. It was stripping out the stud. So this is the original that came with it. Very soft metal, I think, because as we were trying to slide the flange over it, it was really damaging the thread. So I went and got some new Allen head bolts and offset it with a washer. So that's what we're gonna do now. It seems like it's working. So I think we're finally ready to do this.
All right, how you feeling? Day two.
Day two, I'm feeling pretty good. I think we got it all in. A little bit of back and forth on whether we're going to do motor studs or we're going to do Allen head bolts. We ended up going with the Allen head bolts, as we said earlier. So I think it's good. It's all on there.
So this is the first time firing up the bike with the new exhaust. I think it sounds pretty dang good. I just love the sound of those British twins. It's just got that nice throaty sound, and these exhaust pipes are just really making it sound great.
The next thing that we're going to try and do now is put on the skid plate. This is a red Rooster skid plate made for the Interceptor 650. It's really kind of a cool plate, really easy to put on. We need to take off the center stand to do that, so we're going to show you how we took off the center stand. Okay, so actually the center stand on this thing is really easy to take off. It's got a cotter pin on the other side of the through bolt with a washer. Super, super simple. So just pull the cotter pin out with the washer, and I was able to push the through bolt. Here's the thing. It's easier to wait and take the spring off after you've pulled the through bolt out. Don't try and take the spring off, obviously, while it's still on. So I took through bolt out. Spring was still attached under here. Super easy to maneuver it around, and I was able to pull it off with a pair of channel locks. I didn't have a spring puller, so I just used the channel locks, and it was pretty easy. Like I said, once it was loose, there wasn't a whole lot of tension on the spring. It just kind of popped right off. So super easy to get that off. This thing weighs 15 pounds. So that's a lot of weight that I took off. Between that and the exhaust, we're already now at probably 45 pounds worth of weight on this bike. So this is the bash plate I got from Red Rooster. It's pretty nice. Comes with 3 different mounting brackets. I'm going to show you where each one of these brackets goes. It's pretty simple. Hopefully we'll get this mounted up quickly with no issues. Right underneath the oil cooler here, there are 2 10mm bolts. These are going to be reused for this mount for the bash plate. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those.
All right, so now that we finished it, I realized a few things on this bike. What did you realize?
Yeah, I think some of the hardware is probably not the best. Like some of the bolts and stuff. I was pulling out one of our bolts right now. Not even cranking on it too hard. It snapped on us, putting the front of the bash plate on. But one thing that I think is important to say is when you remove the bolts for the oil cooler, you're going to have to reuse the spacers. The Red Rooster bash plate comes with its own hardware, the long ones, which is really cool. But we didn't put the spacers on the first time, and it moved the oil cooler back too far, and it was offset from the mount from the frame. So be sure to reuse those spacers. It makes a big difference.
We also had to route out some of the existing holes to make room so we could adjust were those final 2 bolts for mounting onto that bracket too.
On the bash plate.
Yeah.
The mounting bolts for the bash plate.
So you might need to, be a little handy, be able to drill out and nut out a few of those holes.
Yeah. It's not a perfect science. Everything is sort of a little bit loosey-goosey, but I think all in all, cost, which is the big thing that we're trying to figure out here. I think cost versus, time and quality, I think we're still in a pretty good spot.
All right, so we're gonna get started now. We're gonna drop the forks off the front end here, disassemble all of it, put the new forks in, and kind of compare the difference in length on these 2 forks. Let's get started. So it had really no issues here. The only thing that I was hoping to avoid was having to take off my headlight bucket, but not a big deal. And when I did that, I decided, hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and paint these brackets for the headlight bucket. They were gray, which there's not really anything on the bike, so I just painted them black. So got everything off. Be sure to reuse the gaiters if you decide to do this. I'm using the gaiters from the original forks and putting them on the Himalayan forks. So now we're gonna start putting things back together. Okay, so we got the left front fork on where the caliper mounts and the ABS sensor. So first of all, the tab for the ABS on the original fork is in back near the caliper. And for a second, we had a little bit of a panic because there was no tab for it, a mount. It's on the front of the Himalayan fork. So we think that's gonna be okay. It lines up. It actually fits in there like it should. And I think it's gonna be okay. We'll see once we get it all back together. But Daniel pointed out while we were doing this that our brake line is gonna be too short. Okay, so obviously nothing ever goes as planned. I thought this was gonna be bolt on and we'd be ready to roll. Obviously, we had an issue with mounting the ABS sensor, as we mentioned earlier. So it's hitting the plate here on our rotor. This is the difference in length between the Himalayan forks. It's a good 4 inches right there. It's a good 3.5, 4 inches. It's gonna give me a little bit more height in the front, which is cool, which is what I wanted. We'll come back and do it one more time. We'll let you guys know how it goes.